This is a Clouds weather alert.
Meteorologist Casey Cloud back with you here now on this Monday afternoon, tracking a news of a thunderstorm warning recently issued there toward portions of the Florida Big Bend region until 1:30. We're kind of watching this time under the coast, maybe a little bit more of the parameters coming into play, and that's kind of what we're seeing. I see a new update to the tornado watch. It's still till 3, but it canceled out areas like Seminole County and Muller County in Georgia at this point. So that's some good news, but we still have to watch the progression. There's a tornado possible tag with it. I know we waited a few minutes to come on here because it was in a pretty rural area, this area of convection here. But right now it's starting to get in a more populated zone. So let me go ahead and kind of zoom on in here and show you guys what's going on. I know south side of Tallahassee all the way down to the coast, Roy, is what we're talking about this warning here being in place. So it's more rural out here. You have Smith Creek and the like. I mean, but this is about to move into Carabel. But then you have areas like South Chopper, you have Cropperville, of course, Woodville, and then south side of Tallahassee all could get into the severe winds. So unfortunately, we're thinking maybe winds 40, 50, but now severe means 60 a possibility. The warning here, let's check it. It does not say anything about the hail threat. It's about winds and rotation here. The rotation warning intensified here. A tornado warning probably have to be issued right now. We don't have a whole bunch here. The angle of the radar maybe distorted and things a little though. So we'll watch it down here. But as we get to the north, we have some rotation, and again, the angle on the radar may mess with this some too. But a little bit of rotation moving into Grady County here. So no warning up there. It is an advisory. Less instability up that way. It's a little bit hard to get that down to the surface. But again, we're just going to continue to watch this here. I know around Carabel, there is some weak rotation. It's just nothing that really sticks out too significantly at this point. I'll check our other radar a little bit further away. Don't have a whole bunch here again. It's not the most impressive one we ever had around here, that's for sure. And it was in a less popular area, so we give it a few minutes here. Since we were just on with this, is a pretty, I would say right now at least, and the logo's red because there's that potential there with some of the parameters overlapping. And we were seeing here with the tornado watch, the 2 out of 5 risk of flash flooding up toward the west. There is enough that we could get higher in, parameters here in some regard. I mean, the overall mix. And when I say higher end, I don't mean like strong tornadoes or anything like that. I mean, it could be something where we have enough of an issue where we start getting quite a few warnings. The logo is red for that, but it's also looking more marginal, I would say, right now, honestly. I know it's really tricky at the red logos here when it's something we do. I know last weekend we try not to go into it here. Where we by the time the situation's already getting going here, I mean, we don't want to switch it, even though it's becoming kind of obvious things really overachieving. Hopefully today is a day for our area where things underachieved. They did not around Dothan, though, in terms of flooding, though, some of the worst flooding they've had in years around Dothan this morning. Now, toward Tallahassee, I don't think the flooding will be as big of an issue because of the way this is setting up, but we've had some flooding issues around Albany and further off, though, it's been more pronounced with the reports 5 inches there. Ambient weather gauge in Lee County, Georgia, but we've had over a half foot areas there, it seems, around Blakely and up toward Dothan there. I mean, Blakely water can go down a little bit faster, as we alluded to earlier on. We're watching this line here. We're watching this to see if we get some type of upgrade here to a tornado warning along this. Again, the threat isn't huge, that's for sure, but we're talking about Wakulla County, southeastern Liberty, southern Leon, and Franklin counties until 1:30. So they thought it was a little while ago along the line. They were extended 20 miles south of Greensboro. These did extend 18 miles north of Carroll, about a 7 mile north of East Point, moving northeast at about 50 miles an hour. So Tallahassee, Woodville, Carabel, St. Mark, East Point, Apalachicola, Crawfordville over toward Florida A&M, Wakulla, Franklin, South Choppy, Lake Bradford, Jewel Fire Tower, Shadeville, Leon Sinks, the Gaither Community Center, Royal Bluff, Wakulla Springs, Walker Ford Community Center, and South City. So, again, that kind of tells a story here as we're looking at things. As I go ahead, I have other camera. Let me just, real quick, we'll go away from this and just see that here toward some of our different areas. So let me go ahead and punch that up. You see, look at the clouds. They're kind of interesting, actually, here live right now. It's just some scattered share activity. Just had a little bit of rainfall right here. Eastern Bradford County, no severe weather expected for a while still, and the chance it even huge further off toward the east here. But you can see it is interesting to see the clouds moving pretty quickly here right now on our camera. So again, kind of telling that story. But let's go ahead and jump back on over right now to the Doppler technology. Again, we have, and we're watching, that's from Bradford County, not anywhere close to this warning, but that's where we're at, and covering our 62 counties, of course, here as we monitor the situation. Again, we're highlighted in Bradford, but we're watching off toward Franklin, Leon, Liberty, Wakulla counties right now to 1:30, the end of this warning. So something to keep in mind. Let's get back on over here to the other view. I know up toward Quincy there around I-10. We're watching things. You see some heavier wind around Havana right now. We'll just continue to watch all of that here, of course. We'll watch into parts of Grady County around Wiggum. We'll see if that gets a warning over the next little bit or not. Hopefully not, but it's a possibility here as the situation does progress on us. So just keep that in mind as we're looking at all of our latest tools here in the Weather Center this afternoon. Again, just trying to let you guys know around Crawfordville and South Troppy, St. Teresa, and even more imminently around Caribou, you could lose power here in an isolated nature. So just charge those devices here just to be safe. For anybody in the tornado watch should probably have those devices charged here just to be on the safe side here this afternoon. So again, I know we've been looking at the temperatures, some of those in the ward of 70s, even 80 in Marion County right now around Ocala. Let me go ahead and pop that up here on the view. And so there's for the south and the east as well outside of the viewing circle. But see 50s there up toward it is like it would seem Tifton there, 59 degrees. Yeah, 59 around Albany, where there's severe threat to lower in that region here of our viewing area. I know as we look ahead, we're gonna have 30s maybe tomorrow night. So cool air coming in here. Again, a more typical severe weather setup for our area here in ways with the band here, not like we had last Sunday, which was one of the more atypical ones you'll ever get in our region. And that's why we didn't have much of a risk in play because we had to spin the model was showing stuff, but it's just something that really never happens around here actually comes into play like it actually did. And that low pressure, the way you don't get that type of low pressure around here where you have the cooler air to hail threat like it was. Everybody's getting hail there last Sunday as we were looking toward the different backyards here. But again, just continuing to watch the progressing to the tornado watch in the highlighted yellow broad zone until 3 o'clock here this afternoon. That does mean isolated tornadoes are possible ending close to the watch area. So keep that in mind here as we're looking at things, as we're monitoring things, as we give you guys the very latest here. Let me go ahead and punch back on over toward our other view. We'll jump back on over toward Crawfordville here in McCullough County. Again, it's isn't the most overwhelming I've ever seen. Let me see if we can get some lightning to pop up in any of our other modes here, quite honestly. This might estimate some as lightning from the satellite. It may not. Okay, it is showing the lightning down here, so there's not really any lightning here right now around Crawfordville. It would indicate to me that it'd be a little bit harder, honestly, to get some of these winds even. It's not impossible, but it'd be a little bit harder for this to really cause quite a bit of damage. So, in a lack of instability in that regard, it's kind of a symptom here of the overall scenario. You're just lacking the instability here in general, and the unstable air mass to some degree. So, because we didn't have it much last weekend, but that was a whole different setup here where things were developing in a different way. So again, I look in here from this broad perspective, and then I'll zoom back on in as we continue to get different updates on in here as well. You can see the instability. That's okay. 600 joules per kilogram, but this isn't like what we had last weekend where we had instability. We had a lot in some areas. Because we had the breaks in the cloud, sun right after the storms, but other areas, you just had a lot of that wind shear because the low was so much like, kind of like a tropical system. The temperatures warm. We have some rotational parameters today. That's why the tornado watch is there. So keep that in mind. We can't let our guard down kind of an interesting situation, though, a conundrum in a way. Is you go back, I mean, you think of last weekend, it was Sunday, the weekend before that, it was Saturday, we were watching things. On a Saturday, we had a tornado watch, didn't have a whole bunch in our area. Then the Sunday, we don't have the tornado watch, we have a lot in the area, now we have a tornado watch, and so far, we had flood, and it's probably more than that other tornado watch. I mean, I think by the time it's all said and done, one more than that. We got the logo red, we're in front of the key wall and everything, but I mean, it's a situation here. The Florida already had more than that other one because of the flooding in some of our Southwest Georgia communities. But again, nonetheless, it's something where we may not meet what we met last Sunday here. It'd be hard. I mean, we've had a big risk and not met what we had last Sunday around here. I mean, it wasn't just extreme damage. We had an EF2 in Lowndes County, EF2 tornado there. Also, our enhanced Vegeta scale here, real quick. Let me go ahead and pop that on up. That's where we have considerable damage. We had EF1s. I mean, we had them in Duval County and Clay County. We had an EF1. You just kind of get the idea. Just really nasty situation. There are 6 totals, I believe, in total. So that kind of tells the story there as we're looking at things, as we're monitoring things here. I know our barometric pressure right now, where we're at is 1,010 millibars. Gonna go back here, and it was 1,009 earlier, but as I look here, last Sunday, we had a pressure down in about 999 millibars. So that was quite a bit deeper setup there as we're looking at things, as we're monitoring the overall situation. And just, I mean, again, just trying to break that down. We don't have any formal tornado warnings, any tornado warnings at all. I mean, that's they all are formal tornado warnings, obviously. There's not a lot of rotation here, is what I'm trying to say right now. So that's the good news. Just showing that from last weekend more than anything here for you guys at home, just to kind of give you an idea of some different things. There's a little bit of weak rotation in here, but just not anything too crazy. I mean, the wind here aloft, this is getting down to the surface though, around South Tropic and St. Tracy. It could be the damaging ranges here, that damaging range really. So that's something to keep in mind. Again, it's something that you could argue here that just isn't overwhelming here in nature. So we'll just keep looking. We'll just keep monitoring here. Keep giving you guys the very latest. I'm gonna go ahead and zoom back out a little bit. I'm gonna go ahead and keep updating you guys here. And I know a little bit of wind right now where we're at. I hear it kind of gusting around off toward the east of Turkey. Some of these gusts here, I mean, we are a little bit with the gauge a little bit lower, but you see some gusts in the 20 ranges here today. And we'll go back outside again. You can kind of see that wind aloft at least. And seeing some of those trees maybe blow around a little bit here. Let's see a few gusts. But again, just continuing to give you an update here on this. I think we'll probably take a break here soon. And just plan on coming back at 1 because it's a situation I'll stay on here just in case we get something to pop up. But I'm honestly not seeing a whole bunch here that's sticking out. I mean, we have the flash flood warning, so keep that in mind. But the overall, it seems like the heaviest convection is broke up. So Albany's still getting it to an extent, though. So we got to be careful because that's a more flood-prone area in Dougherty County there. So, you know, maybe even lesser totals could still be an issue. Some of these areas here, this is going to underdo a couple few inches there. That still couldn't cause problems more like what some areas maybe off toward Blakely could have with like 4 or 5 inches there. So, but they've had about 6, it would look like, or even a little bit more than that in some cases. Some, I'll say a lot of precip there today. And again, the numbers is kind of tricky trying to nail them down. We'll have to look at the gauge totals and the radar cover didn't the best in some of these spots. But again, I just continuing to track this all here. It's 12:42 on this Monday. You have the slight risk of severe weather here and Cutoff and Union and Baker. Nassau doesn't mean the threat will just fall apart there, but a lower potential in theory off toward the east and the south. But that's when we don't have the overlap or the instability and the shear as much. But again, we'll keep you guys updated. I'm going to go ahead and take a break about 1 unless we have to really something pop up on us here. Something crazy because it's just it kind of is a scenario here where we're right on the edge of needing to be on right now. We have the tornado watch, but that line there, I mean, around McCullough doesn't look all that impressive. If we get maybe a cancellation this morning early, and then maybe we just pop back in and wrap it up. It looks marginal to me right now, honestly. But there are parameters here. If things could really get going, then I mean, then we could start having some issues here pretty quickly. But right now, I'm just not seeing a whole bunch. But that could change. We'll be here. We'll be watching. We'll be tracking. Kind of like yesterday, you had the parameters there, but didn't have a lot really come together. Could have had a tornado warning during the Super Bowl in Louisiana and Mississippi. I got really lucky. Didn't have a one there during the Super Bowl itself. So that was great news for folks trying to watch that, and meteorologists not having to interrupt that there. So that's good overall. But again, back at one, unless we need to pop back in earlier with more information. So keep it tuned here to Cloud Weather. We will keep you guys up to date here as we're watching things in this Monday afternoon. It's February 12th, 2024.
This is a clouds weather alert.
Meteorologist Casey Cloud back here at the top of the hour, 1 o'clock. A severe thunderstorm warning remains in effect at about 1:30 for portions of Franklin, Leon, and Wakulla counties here. So just continuing to monitor the situation. They dropped Liberty County here just a little while ago, but at 12:47 at least, severe thunderstorms located along the line extending from 8 miles west of Woodville to 13 miles southwest there. It looks like Crawfordville to 7 miles southeast of Carabel, moving southeast. They're saying the weather service in Tallahassee is about 30 miles an hour. So Tallahassee, Woodville, St. Mark, Crawfordville, Wakulla, South Troppy, Newport, Sadeville, Leon Sinks, Lake Munson, Wakulla Springs, 8 Mile Pond, Panacea. You have Buckhorn there, Bethel, Natural Bridge, Live Oak Island, and Curtis Mill all under this. So I know you have flash flood warning to the north. I think this radar view might be underdoing it a little bit here. I think, and even the radar at Tallahassee, I mean, that's kind of where this is coming from, derived from. And it's a situation here where you may be kind of not getting the best angle. I think they're just keeping this one as a precaution because we're not getting a whole bunch that I've seen with this so far, but I don't think they want to maybe risk something here in terms of things, and really getting down to the surface. And maybe they, don't see it at first because of the way the angle is with the radar. It's kind of just due south and even across the radar site to some degree. This acts and it's making it a little bit harder to see exactly what's going on. I know we had a gust in the 50 range earlier in South Florida without a warning, so you got to just be careful here around Crawfordville. I know we're watching things, we're tracking them here as we look at our coverage map, looking there at our 62 counties. So again, just continuing to watch things here, continuing to give you guys the latest. Again, we're in Bradford County, and we were so busy last Sunday, overwhelming type of situation, overachieving really is the word I'm looking for type of situation, as we were tracking things. And with the hail and tornadic activity, this day here, the threat's bigger to the west here, and the logo's red because the overall threat numbers are higher than the tornado watch. We'll see if this actually comes together. Right now, there's some things lacking here. There's still time for it to come together, but it seems like this pattern here looks like it'd be a little bit tougher overall to get stuff too crazy down toward the surface. But there are some parameters here. This more traditional setup, so that one's really untraditional for our area, and it was able to overachieve, kind of gone to the radar to a degree. But we're watching things toward the east. Now, this is something that's a little bit more conventional here for our area. It doesn't mean that it's going to be as bad right now. Looking east of Crawfordville here, I'm looking at the banding, moving in toward areas you see Wakulla. They're getting some wind, maybe a gust to 60 in there, but it looks a little less likely right now. It's up to the north, doesn't look all that organized. We have this flash flood warnings continuing, not so much now for Dothan. They really got hit hard. That's why we made sure we were ready to go here. Because we were seeing indications they had really got hit hard there with the rain flooding over half a feet or half a foot over a half, foot of rain there, over half a feet of rain there in a pretty short period of time in toward that area. If you look toward Moultrie right now, you have some rain. Thomasville, it's going to be tough the way this is setting up for this stuff to really become too crazy up there. It may start to break out if we get enough instability here. But right now, we're going to continue to watch it, continue to watch the situation, no doubt. Just in case here, as a precautionary measure. You see up toward the north, look at all that rain there in Early County, though. I mean, these areas can handle a little bit more than like Dothan can. If they were in our area, Dothan, we'd have had to be on for a while because that's an area, a lot more folks. There's more concrete, so it's going to be worse. And the rain totals may have been a little bit worse over there, depending on what radar and what information you're looking at. Again, Blakely still got hit very hard with the rain. I know. Look up to Tallahassee here. This says about a half feet of rain here. Blakely, Arlington, Damascus, Morgan. You kind of get the idea. So, again, just continuing to track it here. Let me go ahead and zoom back down toward the south again. And as I do that here, let's just remind you guys, just in case we get a tornado warning here, I'm seeing a whole bunch of indications, whether it's an on angle on the radar Just in case you get a tornado warning, you want to make sure you're ready to seek shelter inside a sturdy building. And a tornado watch, I mean, be ready also to make sure you're not in a mobile home if you have a tornadic situation that develops here, because those are more dangerous. It won't take as much wind to really cause big problems and really a life-threatening situation for you. It won't take a strong tornado to be life-threatening if you're in a mobile home or a car. When a tornado comes through, I mean, only take an EF0 tornado, even I mean, a tree can fall on a mobile home or car, and it can be a fatal situation. Even an EF0 tornado, where you have winds 65 to 85 miles an hour. I'll go ahead and see that enhanced Vegeta scale. We don't get fatalities that often in these type of situations, but we have the light type damage technically, but it can't happen. It happened there going back. I believe a tornado during Debbie in 2012 we had an EF0. Was a mobile home if I recall correctly there, and it caused someone to lose their life there as we were looking further down the state. So just gotta be on guard for these type of situations. Just gotta be on guard here in these type of scenarios as we watch things here, as we track. So again, let's go ahead and jump back on over right now to our other mode. Again, we're looking at things around Woodville to Wakulla. And okay, we just got an update now. The flash flood warning further up toward the north. Let me go ahead and see you guys that here. Okay, we got a couple updates. They just dropped Leon out of this a bit thunderstorm warning, but they're keeping Franklin and Wakulla to 1:30. But then that flash flood warning now been extended to 2:30 for areas around Doherty and Lee County because of observed flash flooding. So at 1:06, emergency management reported heavy rain across the warned area and flash flooding occurring there across portions of Albany. So Albany, Putney, East Albany, Turner City, the Marine Corps Logistics Base, Radium Springs, over towards South Albany, Southwest towards Regional Airport, Williamsburg. Yeah, Lockett Crossing, Stocks, and Acre under here. I know the radar sometimes underestimates some of this rain here, but looking at storm total on this here, it started to set some of that heavier rain. I mean, you see a 5-inch total there in Lee County. Well, our radar estimating off of Tallahassee 2 or 3. So, I mean, it's conceivable some areas in South Albany may have picked up closer to 4 inches, give or take, at this point here. And that causes issues for those areas. Maybe not considerable, like if we had 6, 8 inches there, like what they had to the west, because, I mean, 6, 8 inches would probably be worse there again than like Dothan or especially Blakely. And that would really cause problems. So, we're not there, luckily. But I mean, it's a situation we weren't expecting the rain totals to accumulate to this degree, but they sometimes can in these peculiar patterns here that set on up. I mean, when I say a peculiar pattern, it's a traditional setup around here. I know, yeah, I talked about how we had the severe weather setup out to the east, but we have these setups where stuff can train around. It's just, I mean, the severe part, the damage and winds, the tornado, that's traditional here with the instability parameters and the like. It's just the heavy rainfall. I mean, to get that setting up, it happens here when it sets up. I mean, it's a little bit heavier rain than maybe we generally see, but it's still kind of a traditional setup here. Unlike last weekend, which was completely just the way the atmospheric setup was completely different than what we generally get around here. So, don't need new pattern. No, things can really be tricky. But again, just looking here, let's go ahead and look down toward the coast right now. As we look here, even a tornado possible tag. There's some rotation here. They may extend us into Jefferson. I'm not so sure that they will. I mean, here, but at 106, so it's time to look at along the line, extending from Woodville to North St. Marks to 16 miles east of Carabel, moving northeast at 45 miles an hour. So we're talking about Woodville, St. Marks, Crawfordville, Wakulla, Newport, Alligator Point. And I talk about things. I mean, severe weather situations, they're different to some degree, but this is at least something. We've had heavy rain events before setting up. I mean, but I mean, last weekend that was something that this is very weird for our area. But Sadeville, St. Teresa, Ball Point, Hyde Park, Wakulla Springs, Panacea, Wakulla Airport. I have Panacea itself, South Point, Port Leon, Spring Creek, Live Oak Island among the areas under this warning. There's some weak rotations. We got to pay attention here. We have the tornado watch, but luckily for Tallahassee's sake, unlike what we had about a month ago this time, it's looking very unlikely at this point. Tallahassee's going to get put under any type of tornado warning, and the threat's right there in the pass on by you. That's really good news for Tallahassee. I mean, we didn't necessarily have anything crazy in Tallahassee with tornadoes, but a month ago we had just a bunch of warnings there. We had the crazy tornadoes were like Panama City and the like. So at least we're not to that level here as we're looking at things, as we're tracking the situation. But again, Smith Edison morning still remain in effect with Color Newport, St. Mark's, with Color Beach here. I mean, even St. Teresa, even though the worst probably just passing you guys by down there as we're looking right at the coast here. So again, we're just gonna keep on watching this banding here too. Risk kind of falls off further. If you can get some of these greens and reds to kind of come together as couplets here, that could be an issue. But right now, there's not a whole bunch there. As I jump back on over to water coverage map again, just reminding you guys of where we're at here, the geography of things. Let me see if there are any questions or comments here from any of the viewers at home. I'm gonna go ahead and jump on over here in just 1 second to try to get an idea. I see they've just canceled out Franklin, Gadsden, Liberty, Baker, and Georgia, Decatur. They're up in Georgia, Grady, Mitchell, out of tornado watch. Leon's doing it for now, since it's starting to move away at this point, the threat, but it's not completely out of the whole county yet. So that's kind of why it's like that here. If you guys are wondering at home, as we're looking at things, as we're tracking the overall evolution of things here, this weather scenario. So again, let's check the comments here. I know, yeah. I mean, we always have these nasty conditions when we're on, but the weather covered somewhere. There's John commenting on YouTube. 39-mile-an-hour gusts there. 108 Panacea there. Just kind of looking, just kind of tracking things here. And that's nothing to write home about, quite honestly. This line, it seems more like a significant advisory situation to me, even if there's a rotation, so we could go real quick from that to a tornado warning. But let's go ahead and let's see here. I may go ahead. I'm going to check our power outage numbers real quick. I'm out of the key wall here, so bear with me. Let me just try to get an idea of what's going on with those. See if there's anything crazy there with those numbers, maybe that I'm missing. I know we're in front of the camera. Sometimes it's a little harder to check this to make sure that we're not seeing something overachieve here that I wouldn't expect necessarily. Again, just continuing to give you guys the very latest here to protect you and your friends, your family. I know Augusta 32 in Taylor County. And nothing too significant. I mean, you still have some of that damage probably from a die, but that in and of itself shouldn't really cause too big of a problem considering other stuff we've had to go through there over the months here after that event. I'm looking right now. We got no customers out in Wakulla, 33 in Leon, 0 in Jefferson, 11 in Taylor County. So yeah, this is a very marginal warning right now, is what it would look like to me. So just want to make sure that we weren't missing anything there. But we're just going to go ahead and keep checking here the very latest. And I'll go ahead and jump back on over toward the key wall now. You can kind of see what we're talking about. Let's look here, east of Crawfordville. I mean, you never know. I guess we could get something here that overachieves in terms of actually getting a severe, because this doesn't look like a severe right now. But we do have the warning technically in play here. You just, I suppose you never know. New advisory just issued. Okay, that's kind of makes sense here. At this point, I think that means they're about to drop this warning, which would be great news. We'll probably wrap it up for the time being, but let's remind you of the tornado safety tips here then. Let's remind you of the tornado safety tips just in case you get more warnings here today. There's a possibility of that happening here. But right now they're saying strong thunderstorms, winds about 40, more likely there in toward Jefferson County, Wakena, over toward areas like Wasissa there, and in more rural areas even. I mean, it's pretty rural anyway, whether you get another warning or not out there, as we're looking further off toward the east. So let me go ahead and cut back on over here to our other viewpoint. Let's go over to the second one even. Again, the tornado watch doing yellow till 3 o'clock. Advisory here till 2 o'clock. Part to Jefferson, as well as Taylor and Madison counties. So I'm gonna keep watching that there. Monticello, just on the edge of this really of drifting in there. I mean, we had that tornado last week alone, and there was the I-10 pretty much pretty weak, but still a tornado. So we'll watch here. You see all them on in here as well in the Wardis advisory as we keep looking. I know it keeps wanting to pop up, so let me go ahead and switch out of this and see the camera again. I guess when we accidentally do that, it's just telling me to pull up the camera. I mean, pretty interesting shots here. It's the window loft you're seeing, but we're not getting a whole bunch of just everything come together here as we're looking at things on this Monday afternoon. So, that's the good news here at this point. That's definitely the good news here. So let's go ahead and punch back over to the other mode again. Again, you can see what we're dealing with, what we're talking about here. It looks pretty decayed. I mean, the angle radar could be giving us that illusion to an extent, but St. Teresa, a lot of that off the coast there. So it's really about rural areas and McCullough. So I think we're going to wrap it up for now. If we need to come back on, we will. Of course, if we get a warning, a thunderstorm warning, just for that area advisories, I don't think we'll come right back. A tornado warning, of course, we're always on for any of them in our 62 counties. But I mean, it's a situation we're kind of already even a heads up. It's pretty rural out there, and it doesn't seem to be a lot there. I mean, if we really get something crazy, of course, we can pop back in. But if we get somehow severe thunderstorm warning out of this in that area, we have that advisory, that kind of brownish polygon here. We'll just post about it on Facebook there. Casey Clyde Everybody Acts there. Also, Clyde Weather, Twitter at Clyde Casey. Also, the other platforms when we're on live with the streaming. And again, we're still watching the flash flooding to the north. That was a big deal. We came on for that earlier on. That's why we popped in earlier because of that. I mean, he had a lot of problems around Dothan. I mean, they're not going to have many problems in these more rural areas, but he still had some issues with the roads flooding in some of the areas. Blakely, Morgan, that potential was there. I mean, even in Lee County, I mean, you had 4, 5, 6 inches, give or take. We're still trying to get the exact numbers, and you see a 5-inch total there into Lee County. I mean, some areas south of Dothan, Houston County, or on the south side of Dothan, they picked up, so it seemed based on some radar information, closer to 8 inches of rain in a few hours, which is really, really problematic. So, again, I mean, you've had some flooding events before. Don't get me wrong, I mean, there's different flooding events we've had. I think back when Hurricane Sally, we had a bunch of those considerable flash flood warnings or even flash flood emergencies in the region, at least. Maybe not directly in some zones, but at least in just a region here at large. But I mean, that's over a longer period of time in some way. This is more short term confined here, and that makes it more of a rapid water rise. A little surprised we didn't get a flash flood emergency for Dothan in hindsight, but this kind of caught everybody a little bit by surprise with the heavy rain. Not that severe weather potential. We were talking about that, but the heavy rain potential kind of caught some folks, I would say, off guard. They didn't have a flood watch and play it, so that kind of adds to that storyline here. I mean, you always got to be prepared. We knew it was going to rain, but and you guys always got to remember, turn around, don't drown. But it's just we didn't have a flood watch, flash flood watch, anything like that. So that was a little bit. Radar, I think, was kind of underestimating some stuff there at first, and then started getting reports in around Dothan. So that made us kind of be on guard from not just the heavy storm action with the lightning and the wind and tornado threat, but also that potential there, that potential for some flash flooding. So again, just having to keep that in mind. I did keep this warning for now here. A very confined polygon. They dropped out Franklin County, but at 117, severe thunderstorms are saying weather service in Tallahassee is located along the line extending from near Woodville to near St. Mark's, to 21 miles east of Caribou, moving east about 30 miles an hour. Woodville, St. Mark's, Newport, Port Leon, Wakulla Beach. Kind of get the idea there. I know there's no advisory for all those areas. Maybe I'm trying to double check. Yes, I don't know if maybe they just want to kind of. Let's take the warning off for a second. Yeah, they may not want any significant advisory at this point off further west. Quite honestly, just to have to, be dropping the thunderstorm warning to kind of replace, maybe just hold it out because there isn't enough wind for a significant weather advisory out there. I know we have a little bit of gusty winds out ahead, by the way. Some flash flooding reports. I know paved road was washed out there in Houston County in Alabama this morning outside of the area. This is Houston County, Alabama, if you're wondering what we're talking. Just west of the area there where Dothan is. I mean, you had a paved road washed out there with drainage pipe under the road broken loose on Hodgeville Road near, it looks like a Hooper Cherry Road around 10:30 Eastern, 9:30 Central. That's in the Central Time Zone. there as we were looking towards southeast Alabama. Some really big problems there. Gust to 44, 2 miles west of Blue Mountain Beach around 8:36 a.m. That's a delayed report there. So again, just continuing to track all this here. Continuing to give you guys the very latest. Again, you see some wind around Newport there. I doubt it'd be severe, but I can't rule it out. US 98 there in that area. So we're gonna wrap. If we need to come back on, we will, of course. But earlier we went off with the thunderstorm warning issued pretty soon after. Kind of tricky situation sometimes. If it was a tornado warning, we'd have jumped in quicker, of course. But that's why we kind of stay stalled a little bit here. Sometimes the coverage, just in case here, because it's a little bit harder once you jump off. It takes at least a few minutes to get back on. I mean, if it's a tornado warning, we can get back on within 5 minutes. But still, if it's a tornado on the ground or something, that's still 5 minutes here. I guess, too late in some ways. I mean, so we generally don't do that. I know we've had plenty of streams over the years. We have a description about one storm like last Sunday out to the west. We have to stay on for hours and hours because there's not enough really confident things are weakening here. We just have to stick with it. This seems like it's weakening here enough. More flash flooding in Houston County, Alabama. Again, our thoughts and prayers are with those folks. Hope nobody, I mean, in our area, of course, either Blakely in that region, but especially out there, hope nobody really got hurt. Or we end up finding after the fact. I haven't heard anything as of earlier when I was checking. I hope nobody lost their life here in a drowning, because that's how bad things were around Dothan this morning. Patterson Road impassable earlier with over a feet of deep flowing water on the road there. So again, a very serious situation out toward Dothan with just inches and inches, half a feet of rain, half a foot of rain. I mean, over such a short period of time there. We had that in Blakely, and consequences there wouldn't be necessarily considered considerable there, like, and life threatening as much so as they were out toward the west. We posted about that warning when they issued that first one there for Blakely, though, and I had give you that heads up on Facebook, on Twitter. But again, a nasty situation here, and we'll just continue to track all this, and just again hope everybody's staying safe here as we're looking at the Oxford technology here. We'll be back if necessary here from the Weather Center. Again, we're watching some stuff moving at significantly advisory. There's not enough for probably a severe thunderstorm warning downstream. If there is ultimately one issued in that area there off toward the east of the yellow box, we'll post about it. Probably don't come back on for that unless we start seeing more here. But of course, tornado warning. We're jumping back immediately here on the air for all of our 62 counties to keep you, your friends, your family safe. Thanks so much for tuning in and trusting me here for now. I'm meteorologist Casey Cloud, watching things out for you.